Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my podcast. So, this podcast is going to be me discussing bullying. So, I already talked about this and actually made this podcast, but personally, I wasn't satisfied with it because I felt like I always try to speak from a place of like being healed in these certain situations, but it's like I had to be real with myself and be radically honest and say, hey, you're really not healed from these experiences. You're in the process of overcoming them, but you're not 100% healed. So let's stop speaking from that space because how are you healing if you're pretending that you're not hurt, you know? So that's why I wanted to come back on here and redo it because all the stuff I'm saying on here, I don't really care who listens to it if it's somebody that don't like me because nothing here can be used against me. I've accepted it, okay? I've accepted that this is what I went through in my childhood and I'm learning the lessons from it. So growing up, I did get bullied and I got bullied for a number of reasons. I got bullied because I wasn't like very talkative. Like I was more observant and shy. I was really shy. I was just real shy. And some people took that as me being bougie, stuck up, judgmental, when really I just had anxiety. I was also bullied for the way I dress. Like people would say, you dress like a church girl or a church woman or an old lady. But I just really love dresses. And I'm still like that today. Like I'm somebody that I really love like vintage wear, floral print, like bright colors. And some people can equate that to church wear. And it's not that to me. And I had to go through that. I wore a lot of like ballet flats because I have real small feet. I wear a 6, and a half, but sometimes like I can fit into a 5, and I'm 21 with little feet. So it's like even back then I had small feet and I just really love ballet flats, but people took that as you're dressing like a grandma because I wasn't wearing Jordans. So I was made fun of for like real trivial things. And it didn't bother me at first, but just to keep going through that over and over and over and over again is hurtful. Because people always had something to say about what I was wearing. Like I did wear things that were different because it was me. I feel like when you're in, you know, elementary, middle school, and even in high school, it's like this ideology that all the students have that we all have to fit in, we all have to be the same. And if anybody is different from us, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be the person we target and talk about. But nobody can talk about us though. Like I dealt with people that felt like they could talk about me, but nobody could talk about them. They could judge me, bully me, but nobody could do those things to them. So I feel like I was bullied by a lot of hypocrites, a lot of people that would say one thing and do another. For me, bullying first began when I was actually in first grade. And this is when I always had like one person as a bully. Like as I got older, I started dealing with groups of bullies. But when I was very young, it started out with, a girl and she was having behavior problems and she always had to sit outside her classroom because when I was in first grade in the school that I went to, when you were misbehaving, if it wasn't like that bad, you wouldn't get sent to the office, but you would have to sit outside. So that was like the timeout, the punishment. And she was always real mean to me. Like I really didn't understand why because I didn't know the girl. She was in a different class than me and she was just always really mean. And I didn't know how to talk about this with my caregivers because I was not raised with my mother and father. I was raised by my great aunt and my uncle, and they were older people. So when it comes to bullying and stuff, they look at that as like, you gotta have tough skin, you gotta get over that. So I never really felt like I could confide, in my great aunt and have that mother-daughter, you know how it is. Like I felt like I could never have that with her, and I couldn't express that I was being bullied because she looked at that as like, well, that's your fault. Speak up for yourself, fight back. Like she looked at that part of me as a weakness, of not being able to defend myself. But it's like at home, I'm taught that I can't defend myself, because at home I also experienced bullying, and I want to talk about that in a separate podcast so that I could get more into that. But now I'm still going to be focusing on, school. And in this, I'm not going in chronological order. I'm just going in the events that, were the most traumatic. But going back to my aunt, it's like she never really taught me how to defend myself, how to be assertive. It was just ignore them. And I feel like you can't just ignore stuff like this. Like it's something that needs to be dealt with when you're being bullied. Like you can't just keep ignoring the shit. It's I never learned how to be assertive. I didn't learn that my voice mattered. I didn't learn that I could defend myself and I could be okay, with people misunderstanding me. Like I didn't know that I had these options because I never had people, to really open up to about the bullying because I was also bullied by my great aunt and my uncle. Like they made fun of my sensitivity, they made fun of me being smart. They really, weren't the best caregivers, although they did the best they could, they weren't there for me emotionally. Like, they were not there for me emotionally, so I didn't grow up feeling loved, feeling appreciated. So that's why when I was in friendships that were harmful, half the time I couldn't even see. I didn't even know I was dealing with snakes because I didn't have people at home to tell me, this is who you should have around you. This is what you should watch out for. Like I was really blindsided to a lot of the stuff and very naive. That's why it's so hurtful because I went into a lot of these friendships with pure intentions. I feel like I've received a lot of bullying from like people that would be friends with me. And then when they would stop being my friend, they would talk about me. Like in the other podcast that I deleted, I talked about how I had that pattern of best friends. Like one would turn on me after the other, one would turn on me after the other, or they would be in a group, but it was because, as you get older, you know, people start wanting to fit in more. So people that were once like unique and, authentic change. And I feel like I stayed true to who I was despite all this bullying. Like I've stayed true to me. I didn't lose sight of who I was just because other people didn't appreciate it. I mean, it hurt me, but I'm still me because of that. Like continue to be authentic to myself, but the most hurtful bullying experiences for me was groups. Like I always had, when I got out of elementary, because in elementary I always had like that one person, and then in elementary I had, those best friends turn on me and do that. You know how kids can do. That's why I look at that as like, kids learn to be followers and stuff like that. And I really feel like I wasn't into that though. I was never into being a follower. Like I tried to fit in, and I never felt comfortable doing what other people did or saying what other people say because it just wasn't me. And in elementary, like I said, it was just like one person or like those best friends that would turn on me. But in like when I got to middle school, it was to another level. It was the same thing, but it was like I was introduced to rumors, because yeah, in elementary I had gossip about me, but rumors were something different because I never really, dealt with that. And then that's when I started hearing rumors about me from like the school that I had transferred from fifth grade and even from fourth grade. Like that's when middle school was when rumors began. And I would hear rumors about myself that, this one dude that I went to school with, he said that I sent him nudes and I didn't even have his number. And let me tell y'all something. I did not have a phone, like a phone, until I was a freshman in high school. Like my great aunt and my uncle were so old school that they didn't believe in that. Like you gotta wait to get a phone. Like they were very strict. I feel like people really don't know that I lived in a very strict household where I really couldn't go out and I really couldn't. I was very sheltered. So that's why I really clung to friendships, even when I was getting fucked over, because I felt like that was the only form of love and affection that I had in my life. I guess I substituted, the love I didn't get from my family, with friends and expecting them to give me that love and then being hurt when they don't. But this dude had, said that I sent him news and I was only in sixth grade and it really hurt me because it was somebody that I was cool with. Like what would hurt me the most is like people that would make rumors about me would be people that I thought I was cool with. You know what I'm saying? Like people that I thought was my real friend, especially my guy friends. Cause I'm like, you would say that about me. Like I faced a lot of people lying on me, especially in middle school. You know how people, when they're in middle school, like they start becoming sexually active or more interested in sex due to hormones, due to puberty and all these changes, physiologically, and also moving into that adolescent stage. Like, people start having those feelings, but personally, I wasn't having those feelings and I wasn't, sexually active and doing things like that. So it really broke my heart to have those rumors like surrounding my name. I didn't like that. And I had people like talk about me on the bus because I used to ride the bus when I was in 6th grade. And I remember this girl that was my friend. Like, I tell y'all this shit because it's like it was friends that took part in bullying me. People that I really thought was my friend. I feel like this is the scenario I get for myself because I've always been very educated and smart. And I feel like people see me as a nerd, right? And you know how, y'all know those movies where it's like the nerd sits with the popular kids and thinks that they really like him or her, you know? I feel like I was like that, not realizing that these people are laughing at me behind my back. And that's why it's so hurtful looking back because I was so naive and not realizing that these people weren't good for me. They weren't my cup of tea, you know? And I had a girl like one time this dude was we was playing on the bus and he was ragging on me, I was ragging on him. And I was like, I said, I'm not ugly, I'm pretty. And then the girl that was my friend, she heard that and then she twisted what I said and made a rumor to the whole school that I said that I'm the prettiest girl in the school. And I never said that. And I had certain people coming at me. One girl wanted to fight me, wanted to go off on me because she was like, you're not the prettiest in the school. And I was hurtful because I never said that I was the prettiest in the school. I just said that I was pretty because the dude was telling me I was ugly. I mean, we was ragging on each other, but when somebody tells you that you're ugly, you're gonna say, no, I'm this. You know, nobody wants to be called ugly. But that's how the whole thing went down. And then everybody started talking about me. And like I was always a topic of the conversation at the back of the bus. And how I knew it was just so fucked up because one day this girl had asked me my name on the bus and she was like, oh, you're the one that they're always talking about. And to hear something like that from somebody else is just really sad. Like I remember like liking somebody and it was just so sad because everybody was in on it. Like I had liked this person, right? When I was in 6th grade, this is still bullying because these were people that were my friends that were doing this as well, that were in on it, or so I thought they were my friends. Let's put it like that, shall we? But I remember like them writing a false note to me and I read they gave me the note like, "Oh, this is the note from the person you like," and they made it seem like we liked each other, but the whole time that person did not like me. And I remember I was getting on the bus one day and this dude was like, um, you know, so and so said they don't like you. And then everybody just bust out laughing and I just got on the bus, you know. Like it was just really sad because they made me feel like the ugly duckling in a way. Like they made me feel like, you know, I wasn't beautiful. And, you know, like I've always had, you know, a big chest. Like and what I mean by big chest is like I have, you know, big breasts and that runs in my family, like women having larger breasts. And I would go through people in 6th grade telling me like, do you have implants? Are you trying to be like Nicki Minaj? You know, and one time I had on a white bra and this girl seen it and she thought, oh, that's why your boobs are big because you're stuffing your bra. And then that rumor went around that I stuffed my bra, but I just haven't. Like I'm still small with big breasts, you know. I didn't grow into my figure now, honey. You know, thick in all the right places. But when I was younger, it was noticeable because I was so like thin and then you could see my boobs, you know, you could see it. And it was something I was insecure about for a long time because it seemed like that's all people would talk about, you know, is my breasts and make me feel like, you know, that was because I remember I had one person tell me that and they apologized for it, but it still hurt. They were like, you know, your people only like you for your boobs, not you. And I was just like shook by that because it really hurt me. And I really felt like, you know, is that all people see? Like that, I went through like body shaming, you know, because people would say my breasts are saggy, saggy water balloons, like stuff like that. You know, I even had people talking about my hair, the way I would wear my hair, or, you know, my hair being shorter at the time, laughing at it, judging me, calling me bald headed, stuff like that. And it was hurtful. And I didn't never have nobody to talk to because, like I said, my great aunt, she was so old school. So she the type of person to be like, just whoop their ass. Like, and it's not that simple, you know, because it's hard when like you have a whole group of people talking about you. I feel like 6th grade year was like a really, really rough year because I went to two different schools within that same year, you know, and then the next year in 7th grade, I moved schools and it was like the bullying followed me. You know, I was talked about for my breasts, you know, always. And they just made me uncomfortable because like I know at the time I'm like, I know I have them. I don't need people to keep telling me your boobs are big. Like it made me feel so it made me feel sexually exploited, you know, it made me feel uncomfortable because people always, did that in front of a group of people. And one thing my great aunt would do was like when my breasts like were growing, like she did something weird. Like this is weird to me, but she was calling up everybody and telling them my bra sizes. And I just feel like that's just inappropriate because who would do some shit like that? That's why I said like I didn't get that loving because to her it was something funny, it was something to laugh at. And everybody made me feel like it was so abnormal and weird and strange. So I grew to dislike my body and not think it was beautiful because other people always talk so much about it. You know, I had people telling me like, "Oh, you don't have a nice body because all you have is the boobies. You don't have nothing else." Like that's hurtful. I went through a lot of that, like bullying with my body, and then like I will also be people that like I like would date. You know how in middle school you had your little relationships, and I remember dating this dude. He was a Scorpio and like he broke up with me. And then after he broke up with me, he just started talking hella shit about me. Like he was my bully. Like literally, I had gym with him and he would just talk about me, say I had weave in my hair. And it was offensive because at the time when I was in seventh grade, my hair was like permed and short. Cause now I'm natural. I've been natural for years and my hair is curly. But at the time, my hair was permed and I was like, how do you think I have weave in my hair? Like it can't get no shorter than this. I'm gonna be real. Like my hair was a little short. So like it was still manageable to put in a ponytail and all, but it had broke off so much. And I didn't understand how he thought I had weave. Like he went and asked this girl to come look at my hair to see if I had some weave in it. Like he was saying I had tracks, like I had put some tracks in my hair, and I'm like, what? He was saying stuff like that. When I was in gym, he would talk about my shoes and be like, she don't have no gym shoes, or laugh at the shoes that I had. Like he would make rumors up about me to other people in the school. Like just and it didn't stop because he did this in high school too. Like he still was always lying on me. Like he would lie on me, lie on my name. Like I kid you not, he would lie on me because we all ended up going to the same high school. Like the school that I went to, it was like the middle school, like that I went to in seventh and eighth grade. I stayed there, and then I went to a school around the corner, and everybody because it's around the corner, like we all went to that same school, so I had to be with those same people. And it was just really like difficult going through all this stuff, because I just really like in those moments of being mistreated and targeted, I hated myself. And I felt like it was something wrong with me because why do people always talk about my body? Why do people always talk about why do people always judge me? Why do people always make fun of me? Like I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. And now that I've gotten older, I've been able to realize that it didn't have anything to do with me. I mean, a lot of this stuff still stings, but I'm overcoming it. And that's why it can't be used against me because I've faced it, I've acknowledged it, and I realized that when you don't want to be a part of the crowd, like you will suffer. Like that's true. When you're unique, at such a young age, you know, you're authentic to who you are, that can rub people the wrong way because they're used to being a follower. They're used to everybody being the same, acting the same. Like a lot of people are of the world. Like they don't think they are, but they are of the world. And, you know, we're not supposed to be of the world. That's the reason why you're supposed to be yourself, regardless of how weird and quirky it's gonna look to somebody else. Because I feel like we all want to appear politically correct in this world, and there's no way you can because somebody's always going to judge you or disagree with your opinion about something in life. So I'm learning that it really doesn't matter what people think, because they don't even have anything to do with you at all. Like when I learned about projection, I feel like learning about how people project was very healing because it helped me, take off all those projections and look at who I am beneath all that. Like, who am I really? Not what these people have said I was, but who am I really? Like that's what I could say to bullying that I've been through. And I've also had like a best friend like try to fight me because she thought I called her a hoe and I never did. Like she was the person that I would go hard for. if anybody called her out her name, like I've always, like, even when I was so young, I've just always been an advocate for women. Like, you're not gonna sit around me and call a woman a bitch or a hoe. Like, I've always, like, I used to get so mad at that. And even my, like, one of my cousins, one of my male cousins, he would laugh at me and say, "You're a feminist." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "You don't like women being called bitches and hoes. You're a feminist." And then that's when I started learning about feminism and getting into that. But that's another topic for us to talk about later. But yeah, like, I just have never appreciated that. So I'm like, if I don't feel comfortable hearing that about any woman, period, why would I call you that? And she believed that. And then the girls in the neighborhood tried to set me up so she could fight me. She never did fight me. We ended up talking it out, but it was just still hurtful that you had to get to that point to where you wanted to hurt me over something that I never said. And that broke my heart because I really was like, this is my best friend, this is my sister. Like, that's how I looked at her, you know what I'm saying? And it just hurt me that people in the neighborhood teamed up against us and did that. People that I really thought I could trust really, like, did me wrong like that. And I know people say, time heals, but I feel like I'm learning how false that is. I don't feel like time heals all wounds anymore because I feel like even talking about this stuff, it still is hurtful because I never discussed this with anybody really. Like, I never talked about being bullied. I feel like I kind of just had to suck it up, and get over it, which is what I did. But like, as I'm on my healing journey, a lot of this stuff is resurfacing for me to talk about. And I'm glad that I could talk about it, and get it out there and let people know that you can overcome this. People will do harmful things to you because kids can be cruel, you know, but you don't have to let that internalize you and define who you are at your core, who you are as a person. Toni Morrison said it best. This is one of my favorite quotes in the whole wide world. Definitions belong to the definer, not the defined. And that's so amazing because that's what projection is all about. People project so much unconsciously. And I feel like, you know, kids get shamed about being their authentic selves. So in turn, they're going to shame you for being your authentic self because they're taught that no, there's a right way to be and there's a wrong way to be. Like, that's how we're taught to live. You can't be this way. You can't be that way. You have to be this way, even if it's not who you really are. But it's like, I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. And I just always stood with that. I'm me. And if people don't like that, that is okay. I won't lose sleep at night. I feel like also, you know, when I was bullied, people just wanted it to matter to me. And what I mean by that is like they wanted them not liking me to matter to me. They wanted them hating me to matter to me. Like, they wanted certain things to matter to me. And even though it was hurtful, it didn't matter to me. And that's why people got mad because, like, from my personal appearance, like, you can look at me and the way I look so stoic. So it would look like nothing hurts me or bothers me. And I think that bothered people that tried to get under my skin, but it was just I had to keep that poker face because, for one, I didn't have that home that I could go to. I didn't even have that relationship with my own mother at the time. Like, I was separated from her and my father. So it's like living with somebody that looks at you more so as like looking at you as like a check, because I was actually adopted with my aunt and she was getting paid to take care of me. So she looked at me more so as a check because they didn't emotionally invest in me. Like, they did a lot of bullying too, and a lot of it was exclusion, because bully exclusion is a form of bullying, because they would all go out and take family pictures but not let me take them, but I'm supposed to be a part of the family. Or like I would get scholarship opportunities. I even had an opportunity to be a model, and my aunt declined it. Like, anytime something good happened, she declined it, and she got to the point where she started hiding like letters that were for me, and I caught it one time in her drawer, and it hurt my feelings because it's like, you tried to stop my success. Her and my uncle did tried to do everything they could. And that's why when I get to the second podcast, I'm going to discuss what I went through with them. And it's not going to be disrespectful or anything like that, but it's just going to be real and the truth needs to come out. Like, I feel like I'm tired of sitting with this in me and not speaking on it, and not releasing it and letting it go. Because ultimately, that's why I make these podcasts, to let things go, to release, to speak my truth, to use my voice One time, and I'm gonna end it here. I was walking home with a friend when I was in 6th grade, and she was actually a genuine friend, rare. And she told me, she said, "You have the gift of the voice." So she said, "You have the gift of the voice." But for all these years, I've silenced myself and I did not use my voice. Audre Lorde said, "Your silence will not protect you." And I learned that. And going through all this, when I was bullied, at times I was silent because I kept trying to be the bigger person. I kept trying to be respectful in a situation. Like, I just have always been like that. Like, I've always tried to be respectful, even if people were not respectful to me, even if they were talking about me. Like, I didn't return that energy because that's not who I am. And, you know, at times I do wish I could have spoke up for myself more, but I feel like I gotta forgive myself for not doing what I thought I should have done. I was young and not having emotional support at home or anywhere. Like, how am I gonna know how to speak up for myself? How am I gonna even know it's okay? Because at home, when I try to speak up for myself, I was always silenced. I was always told to shut up and be quiet. You don't have an opinion. Like, I was literally silenced, and taught that what I feel, it doesn't matter. It's not real. It's delusional. Like, I was taught that, but I'm learning now that there's a lot of gems in the things that I have to say. There's a lot that people can learn from the things I've been through. So why not put that out there? Even if I'm going to get talked about, because I can't stop that. People are going to have their opinions, but I'm getting to a point where I can really be okay with that, even if it's not a positive opinion. I think that being bullied helped me to realize that you don't have to internalize the things that people say and do to you. You can overcome it. You don't have to believe it. I feel like you have to challenge it. Challenge what people believe about you. Because is it really true? You got to look for the evidence within yourself. Do I really exude this type of behavior? Am I really that type of person? Because 95% of the time you're not. Like, sometimes people can be giving you constructive criticism because we all need room for improvement and change, but I'm gonna say that's 5% because a lot of people don't give you constructive criticism because they project out of their ego. But 95% of the time, the things people say about you, the things that they do to you, it has nothing to do with you. All right. So thank y'all for listening. Appreciate it. Peace.